And then you go asking or looking for some sort of prophetic dua that you hope matches perfectly with the specific ask that you have. What if I told you that there's one catch-all dua that takes everything you want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for and puts it perfectly in a few sentences to achieve that goal? I want you to picture the scene because it's actually going to be a familiar scene throughout this entire series. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha says that I was in my room in salah, exerting myself in dua. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam walks in on me while I'm in dua, and he asked me for something alayhi salatu wasalam, and I was slow to respond to him. So think of her pushing herself in dua, trying to come up with the perfect words to achieve what she wants to gain from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam intervenes and he says, Ya Aisha, alayki bi jumal ad-du'a'i wa jawami'ihi. Oh Aisha, stick to the du'as that are comprehensive and all-encompassing. And this is something, subhanAllah, you're going to find with the Prophet ﷺ and Aisha, the Prophet ﷺ with Juwayriyah, the Prophet ﷺ and Habiba, where he comes in, alayhi salatu wasalam, and he says, listen, I can give you something that you can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that will achieve everything that you're trying to get out of this dua. And here in this intimate conversation, the Prophet ﷺ is going to give Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha what some of the scholars call the most comprehensive dua from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. In fact, the great Mullah Ali al-Qari rahimahullah said, this is the most comprehensive dua from the Prophet ﷺ. So he says to Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, O Aisha, say the following words. Allahumma inni as'aluka min al-khayri kullihi, ajilihi wa ajilihi, ma alimtu minhu wa ma lam a'lam, wa a'udhu bika min al-sharri kullihi, ajilihi wa ajilihi, ma alimtu minhu wa ma lam a'lam. O Allah, I ask you from all that is good, in this world and in the hereafter, what I know and what I do not know. And O Allah, I seek refuge with you from all evil, in this world and in the hereafter, what I know and what I do not know. And then she goes on to say, Allahumma inni as'aluka min khayri ma sa'alaka abduka wa nabiyyuka wa a'udhu bika min sharri ma 'adha bihi abduka wa nabiyyuka. And O Allah, I ask you for all of the good that your slave and your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has ever asked you for. And I seek refuge with you from all of the evil that your slave and your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has ever sought refuge from. Allahumma inni as'aluka al-jannata wa ma qarraba ilayha min qawlin aw amal. Wa a'udhu bika min al-nari wa ma qarraba ilayha min qawlin aw amal. O Allah, I ask you for Jannah, for paradise, and for that which brings me closer to it in word and in deed. And I seek refuge in you from hellfire, and that which brings me closer to it in word and in deed. And then finally, وَأَسْأَلُكَ أَن تَجْعَلَ كُلَّ قَضَاءٍ قَضَيْتَهُ لِي خَيْرًا. And I ask you to make every decree that you decree concerning me good. So in this dua, subhanAllah, you have pretty much all of the articles of faith summarized in one paragraph. And I want to break it down, inshallah ta'ala, into 4 parts. The first part is everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. The second part is everything that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked for. The third part is everything that leads to the destination that I want in the hereafter. And then the fourth part is everything that is beneficial of decree for me in this world. So let's break it down, inshallah ta'ala. In the first part, you're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for every good that you know and that He knows. Now that means everything that you want to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, whether it's your finances or your relationships or your careers or your pursuits, anything that you want to ask Allah for that you know is good for you, you're including it in this dua. And then you're deferring to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, oh Allah, in every good that you know, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's better for us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows good things for us that we have no idea even exist in the realm of good and evil. So, oh Allah, based upon everything that you know, give me everything that's good for me in this life and in the hereafter. and also protect me from the evil that I know I want to be protected from. So if you're making dua for Allah to protect you from someone who's trying to harm you or for some sort of oppression, everything that I know to be evil and the harm that I don't even know exists out there in this life and in the next. So you're not even time bound, subhanAllah, in this dua. And it's based upon everything that Allah knows. And you're achieving this in one sentence. Then in the second thing, and it's the Prophet ﷺ telling Aisha radiallahu anha to make this dua. And I ask you for all of the good that the Prophet ﷺ ever asked you for, and I seek refuge with you from all of the things that the Prophet ﷺ would seek refuge from. Now, subhanAllah, if you think of the Prophet ﷺ's du'as, like if I was to take a book of the authentic supplications of the Prophet ﷺ and say, here, say the sentence, and you achieve all of these du'as in one sentence. On top of that, imagine the du'as of the Prophet ﷺ on the night of Ta'if, the night before Badr, some of his most difficult moments, the qiyam of the Prophet ﷺ. So in this one sentence, you are getting all of those du'as that the Prophet ﷺ made in your own dua. And it's the Prophet ﷺ telling Aisha radiallahu anha, here is a catch-all. Here's a way for you to achieve all of that which I ask my Lord with. And subhanAllah, no one knows Allah better than the Prophet ﷺ, and no one had more beautiful and more comprehensive du'as than the Prophet ﷺ. So it starts with everything Allah knows, then it goes to everything the Prophet ﷺ asked for, and then finally, what is the good that you know that you really, really want? It's Jannah. And this entire existence that we have here on this earth is to get back to Jannah. And it's the ultimate reward. And we have the guidebook, but sometimes we stray away from it, either because we don't know any better or because we do other than what we know to be better. So,